So we're about a month out from the new season of Delta Force launching, and I thought I would make my wish list a little bit early this time around because maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, the devs might see this video and be like, hey, that's actually a really good idea. Maybe we should implement that or change this or change that. Albeit, I'm kind of daydreaming here. I don't think they're actually going to watch the video and take any of my suggestions into consideration, but, it's always worth a try. So some of the items on this wish list are actually returning from previous videos, but I still want to hammer down on them and hopefully, as I said, get the Delta Force devs to pay attention to these points. The first one being an actual squad system. Now, currently we have like a semblance of a squad system, but you can't change squads, you can't create your own, you can't manage members that are in because like right now, for example, maybe you want your squad to play a little bit more objective focused and you have a sniper that's playing in the backfield. That's completely fine. Nothing against players that are playing in the backfield. You do you, but now you're one player down. That recon player is not putting spawn beacons in the forward objectives, and it would just be really nice to be able to create squads and maybe even put a tag on them that says like, okay, this squad is focused on objective play, this squad is focused on vehicle gameplay, this squad is mostly focused on recon and stuff like that. So just having those different tags that allow people to join squads that match their play style. And there's actually like actual squad leaders right now in the game because they added them for Victory Unite, but they don't really do anything in King of the Hill or AD. Like you can mark a flag, it doesn't really give the other squad members an objective to go to, and it doesn't incentivize them in any way, shape, or form to go cap that objective. But I think it would make a lot of sense to have something like that. So you have the squad leader giving out objective orders. If the squad members follow that objective order, they get bonus XP, they get more points for call-ins, they get whatever they want to do to incentivize the players to follow squad orders. I think it would really elevate the overall gameplay that we currently have in Delta Force, where everybody pretty much plays like a lone wolf, even though they're in a squad. Unless you're playing with like a dedicated squad of players, then you're in Discord with them or stuff like that. But right now, if you're just queuing in a match, chances are everybody in your squad is doing their own thing. There's not a whole lot of actual team play or squad play, which I find is a missed opportunity, especially in a game like Delta Force Combined Arms game. It would make a lot of sense to have that type of feature in there. Moving on to the next one, I think they should do an audio pass, especially on footstep audio. Now, I'm sure everybody has experienced this, but on like maps like Knife Edge, where there's multiple different levels, you can hear somebody that's like 3 stories up and all the divisions are made out of concrete. So I don't know if it's a problem with audio occlusion, where those hard surfaces in game just aren't bouncing audio off and the audio is just passing through. It makes it super confusing to try and track people with the footstep audio because you don't know if they're above you or below you. Sometimes you'll think they're on the same floor, but they're one floor above, and technically you shouldn't really be able to hear them because of not only the distance, but the type of material that is used for the surface above you or below you. Most of the time it's concrete, but yeah, it's very off-putting. It can really throw you off your game, and I just think that they should really do an audio pass and just make sure that the occlusion is working properly depending on which surface the audio is supposed to reverberate off and all that stuff. Again, I'm not an audio engineer, but there could definitely be some improvements with all of that. Next is a pretty minor point that I've just run into this a lot of times, where I want to do a call-in from inside a vehicle, but you have to physically get out of your vehicle and one, run the danger of just getting absolutely killed by somebody that a sniper out in the distance, or 2, just a teammate runs up and steals your vehicle. So it would be somewhat nice to be able to actually use call-ins from inside the vehicle, like call in a cruise missile, call in smoke, whatever it may be. Maybe not so much like the actual vehicle call-ins and the deployable beacon, but I think for smoke, the artillery barrage, and the cruise missile, it would make a lot of sense for you to just be able to call them in from inside the vehicle. I don't think it would be that much of a big ask, and it would probably be a pretty easy thing to code as well because, the key is the same. I don't think number 5 is used for anything in a vehicle currently, so I don't really see why they wouldn't be able to do this. The next point, and I think a lot of players would agree, is vehicle versus infantry rebalancing. Now, currently, vehicles can pretty much dominate a map if the infantry players aren't doing much to actually destroy them, and some vehicle players are just very, very good. Same thing with like air vehicles, so chopper pilots, some are just amazing at being a chopper pilot or being a vehicle driver, and they make it very difficult for infantry to kill them. The infantry doesn't get a lot of breathing room, so I think they should do a little bit of rebalancing in that aspect, maybe in the sense that vehicles get a limited amount of ammo before they need to go to maybe a resupply station or back to base to resupply. So let's say a tank gets 5 shells, right? and they would maybe get like 5 resupplies of those 5 shells. So overall, they get 25 shells. As it stands right now, the shells just reload over time. So yeah, you can run out if you shoot them too quickly, but you never really have to go back to base or a resupply station to resupply them over again. Like if you go to resupply station, it will resupply the entirety of your ammo stock quickly. But even if you're out in the middle of nowhere, those shells or whatever type of ordnance you're shooting out of your vehicle is going to recharge over time without you doing anything about it. And I think this would alleviate a lot of the issues where, yeah, vehicles can just free roam the map, murder a bunch of people if nobody's doing anything about it. You know, it's kind of unfortunate. And vehicles as a whole are pretty powerful in Delta Force. I think that's no secret to anybody. Most vehicles need to take like at least 4 shots to destroy, maybe not with the Javelin, but with like the AT4 and all that, if you're not hitting them in the weak spots, it's taking 4 shots to destroy. Yeah, I think it would just give the infantry players a little bit more breathing room and just allow for better overall flow when you don't unfortunately get into a vehicle and a map that's vehicle heavy. And hell, I would even say like on King of the Hill on certain maps, they could completely remove the vehicles from the call-ins, because on some maps, there's like 3 tanks, 3 tank destroyers, 2 IFVs, an AA. So there's so many vehicles, and then the choppers on top of that. So if you don't get into a vehicle, it can just feel like you're absolutely getting murdered nonstop. And honestly, not everybody likes playing in a vehicle. So it would make a lot of sense to rebalance all that a little bit. Moving on to the next point, and this is just like, it looks so goofy, actual helicopter physics, because right now, and I've said it in my previous wishlist video, choppers can literally just run into a building and not blow up. Sometimes they'll just bounce away and take minimal damage, and it just looks absolutely ridiculous when you have a helicopter that's potentially going like, what, 200 kilometers an hour, 300 kilometers an hour, ramming into a building and then just bouncing off as if it was like a super ball that you would throw in the shopping mall. It just looks absolutely dumb, and the chopper pilots should be penalized for running into buildings, running into objects, crashing in the ground. Currently, that's not the case. They're slightly penalized. They might take a little bit of damage, but I think they should just literally blow up. If you're crashing into shit, your chopper should be toast. There should be no, it's bouncing off of stuff and you're able to take off again. Next is another small fix that I think they could realistically do pretty quickly, a deploy screen zoom. So currently when you're into the deploy screen, let's say there's a bunch of people piled on an objective and you want to spawn on the objective, or you potentially want to spawn on the beacon or a vehicle or something like that, you just can't zoom in and you can't click precisely enough to actually pick where you wouldn't want to spawn, and sometimes you just spawn where you don't want to. I don't think it would be a stretch to actually just have a function that allows you to zoom into the deploy screen when you're wanting to redeploy. The next one is fixing Victory Unite. Now, I don't know what's up with the queue for this game mode. I don't know if it's just because not enough people are actually playing the mode, but there's every time you queue up for Victory Unite, it just stops at 39 out of 40, and then after 15 minutes, you get kicked out of the queue. And Victory Unite is a good idea at its core. It's a more focused game mode, like attack and defend, both 20v20. There's a commander on either side. It can be good, and they did a lot of changes from the first version that they released of Victory Unite. And I haven't even been able to play it since they released the update with the new season of Delta Force. And it's unfortunate because I wanted to try out all the new changes, see the rebalancing that they did, and I simply can't. And I don't know what it is. There can't just be like 39 players queuing up for Victory Unite in all of North America. I refuse to believe this, but maybe there is. But I really think there's just an issue with the queuing system for Victory Unite, because I've seen people in the global chat, in the Discord saying, hey, what's up with the Victory Unite thing? I'm queuing for it. You know, I can't get matched into games and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like a promising game mode if they keep putting work into it. I definitely think it could be very interesting. But yeah, as it stands, just I would imagine like nobody can play Victory Unite. But if you can, let me know how it is since the new season launch. Next is the construction system. Now, I don't have a problem with the construction system inherently, but on certain maps, it's just an overall nuisance, like on Shafted. So on Shafted, like I think after the first season or the second season, they actually made changes to Shafted to add more lanes, add more flanking opportunities and stuff like that. But they also implemented the construction system at the same time, and that construction system is just painful to deal with because it literally just blocks off lanes in Shafted, and it's already such a mess if both teams are holding between Charlie and Bravo, where it's just explosive city and it's very hard to break through. But then if you also close off a lane because of the construction system, it ruins the whole experience and it's also very difficult to even poke through there, especially if you have like players that don't even know you can actually destroy those things with like Virons, Magnetic Bomb, D-Wolves, Triple Blaster, grenades, rockets, whatever type of explosive you want to use to destroy. The sandbag walls, yeah, it just doesn't make sense in Shafted, and a lot of the other maps it does, but I think they could definitely do a pass on the pre-chosen areas where you can actually build those sandbag walls. And last but certainly not least, so this is an actual improvement overall, I would just recommend that they test out different player counts on certain map and mode combinations. Like Shafted, it's a fine map, but it gets really, really messy because of the high amount of players on that map. I think if they toned it down and maybe put even like 24v24, the map would flow so much better. And I think the same could be said for a lot of the map and mode combinations, where a slightly lower player count I think could overall improve the map flow by like 10x. It would just feel so much better. There'd be a lot less choke points to try and manage. You could play a little bit more tactically. You'd have more room to flank and all that. I think it would make a big difference, and they should really try out different player counts on different mode and map combinations, because as it stands, there's no real reason why all the maps are 32v32. They could do anything, because every time you finish a match, you're pushed back to the main menu and re-queued into a different lobby. So there's absolutely no reason why they wouldn't be able to play around with different player counts, test them out, then send out surveys to see if players enjoy the lower player count a little bit more than the higher player count, get all that feedback, and then adapt their player counts based on that feedback. Yeah, I definitely think that could go a long way. But that is my Delta Force Season 6 wish list. Please share yours with me in the comment section down below. Get a discussion going down there. There's probably a lot that I didn't mention in here, but those were like the ones that I think would make big differences, at least for me personally. And again, yours might differ, but I want to know what you guys think. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.